لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا ونبينا وحبيبنا وقدوتنا ومولانا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Respected brothers and sisters in Islam, first we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala once again. Allah has granted us the tawfiq and the ability to perform our Maghrib Salaah wal Jama'ah, alhamdulillah. So Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, Man alif al-masjid alifahu Allah. That indeed the one who loves the house of Allah, Allah will love the person in return. So we make dua, Allah grant the masajid to be beloved to us. Ameen Rabbil Alameen. Inshallah, this evening we continue with our tafsir. In this evening surah, we will be discussing Surah Zilzal. Surah Zilzal, and just as a introduction, some of the merits in the fadail of Surah Zilzal. It is mentioned a hadith narrated by Imam At-Tirmidhi rahimahullah, where he says that the merits of Al-Zilzal, he says that Surah Zilzal is equals half of the Quran. Normally we hear about Surah Ahad and Surah Falaq and Surah Nas. Here the hadith mentioned Surah Zilzal, it equals a half of the Quran. And then the hadith mentions Surah Ikhlas, which is Qul Huwa Allahu Ahad, it equals a third of the Quran. And then Surah Kafirun equals a quarter of the Quran. So these, in terms of its greatness and virtue of the specific surah that we'll be discussing. And my beloved brothers and sisters in Islam, whilst the previous surah, Surah Bayna, we have discussed in Surah Bayna, it was the end of the end. Meaning, Surah Bayna ended with the end of the end, meaning the end of the day of Qiyamah, the end where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will allow the people of Jannah to enter Jannah, the people of Jannah to enter Jahannam to enter Jahannam. That is the end. Meaning that's the end of Qiyamah. That is the new beginning of our new life in Jannah. May Allah make us of those who enter Jannah. While this surah Zilzal, the ulama has mentioned, this surah, it is the beginning of the end. Meaning it is the beginning of that signals the beginning of the day of Qiyamah. And the surah also starts off and is better known, or when some say Surah Zalzala or Surah Zilzal. And Zalzala comes from the word, in Arabic, Zalzala, it means to slip, to slide, or to be removed from one's place. Therefore, the word Zalzala means to shake violently over and over again. So this, to shake violently over and over again, by repeating this word twice in the same ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is indicating that the day of judgment, the earth will be shaken so heavily that it will become unstable. On that day, a person will trip over himself, unable to keep a balance. It will appear that people are drunk, but in the reality, they will not be drunk. It will be because of the instability of this dunya. When Allah allows this dunya to shake. And part of the responsibility of this earth that we are living in, the earth is not only a place for us to reside on, it's not only a place for us to be buried in, but part of the responsibility of the earth that it's waiting for the command of Allah is to shake. That is part of the job of the earth why Allah has created at the end of time. And we find Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala starts with this ayah, the surah, إِذَا زُلْزِلَتِ الْأَرْضُ زِلْزَالَهَا. When the earth is shaken with its final earthquake, with its final shake. And you know, there's a picture of what the results of an earthquake in this dunya. Recently we have experienced, and we all saw over the news and over the social media what happened in Turkey. Allah protect us. And that was an earthquake that happened that destroyed so many buildings and so many infrastructure. It caused chaos all over the city. But the day of Qiyamah is a different type of earthquake. And when we speak about the Zilzal, this specific Zilzal, Allah speaks in Surah Zilzal, it speaks about majority of the ulama mentioned, it refers to the final shaking. As you know, part of the signs of Qiyamah is that there will come natural disasters like earthquakes. These are all signs of Qiyamah, which we experience in Turkey, even in Durban we've experienced. We have seen there's natural disasters taking place. These are all the signs of Qiyamah. But on the beginning, in signaling the beginning of the day of Qiyamah, it will be this final earthquake, Zilzal, Allah speaking about. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the next ayah Allah mentions, وَأَخْرَجَتِ الْأَرْضُ أَثْقَالَهَا. This earth will shake so severe it will bring forth all of its burdens. All of its burdens the earth will bring. In the context of this verse, it means the dead bodies buried inside of it, that the earth will spit out on the day of Qiyamah, on the day of judgment. As it is mentioned that these are part of the burdens of this earth. The people buried in it, and not only the people buried in it, but also the deeds that were buried with them, and also the deeds that were performed on this earth is all of the burdens of this dunya. And on the day of Qiyamah, when the final hour, when the zilzal happens, it will spit out all of its burdens. Some ulama has mentioned it's almost like a pregnant lady, where the baby is now developed and she can't keep it in anymore. The baby needs to come out. A time will come when everything in this dunya will also have to come out. In a similar manner, and on this day, the zilzal, the earthquake will happen and everything in it will come out. Not only the bodies are buried inside of it, but also the deeds of the dead people. And not only that, another narration by Abu Hurairah radiallahu anh mentions that the earth will not only throw out the dead bodies, but the earth will throw out pieces of its liver. The hadith mentions the pieces of its liver, referring to the content of this dunya. The hadith mentioned gold and silver will come out like columns. You mentioned today, if you look for gold, you must look between the rocks. And for diamonds, you must dig it out deep under the ground. Allah says on the day of Qiyamah, Rasulullah mentions, gold and silver and these minerals will come out in columns out of this dunya. And what will be the condition of the people that will see it? Hadith mentions the murderer will look at it. Imagine the murderer will come to say, he will look at these columns of gold and silver and diamonds coming out of the earth. And he will say, did I really kill for this? The one who broke the ties of kinship will say, for this I severed the ties of kinship. The thief will say, for this I got my hand amputated. Then they will leave it. They will leave it there and no one will even take anything from it. Imagine the same gold, we will realize on the day of Qiyamah, is this the gold that distracted me? Is this the wealth that distracted me from the obedience of Allah? Is this the wealth that made me break up with my family members? And on the day of Qiyamah, when we see these columns of gold and silver and diamonds coming out, no one will want to take it. No one will want to take it, my beloved brothers and sisters in Islam. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَقَالَ الْإِنسَانُ مَا لَهَا. Mankind will say, people will say, that what is happening to it? Meaning, what is happening to this dunya? This dunya is shaking so severely. People will be in complete shock, not knowing what struck them, except for the believers. And here the ulama mentioned specifically the kafir, the one who rejected the day of Qiyamah. He will be even more confused. As me and you, we're discussing it now, we're speaking about the zilzal. So when we experience the zilzal, back in our minds we'll say, Ya Allah, I wonder, is this referring to the surah zilzal we discussed one day in the masjid? So we will have an idea about the day of Qiyamah, but for the non-believer, they will be even worse off. They will be completely in a state of not knowing what's happening around them. يومئذ تحدث أخبارها. That day it will describe all its happenings. Meaning, the Messenger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says that when he recited this ayah one day, he asked the companions, do you know what is the akhbar, or the information Allah is speaking about in this ayah? When the earth will give its information, do you know what is the information Allah is speaking about in the ayah? He said, Allahu a'lam, Allah wa rasuluhu a'lam, Allah and His Rasul knows best. Then Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, verily, its information is that it will testify against every male and female in this dunya about what they did upon the surface. It will say that he did such on such a such, and that he did such a thing on such a day. The earth will testify. Allah will give this dunya, this world that we are living in, Allah will give it the opportunity to speak. Allah will give it the opportunity to speak on the day of Qiyamah. It will bring out all of the akhbar and the happenings of this dunya. بِأَنَّ رَبَّكَ أَوْحَالَهَا. Because it is Allah We have commanded it to speak. Like Allah commanded this dunya to shake. Allah then after that will command it to speak regarding what we have done on this dunya. Meaning Allah inspired it to speak. He is able to do whatever Allah wants. Like Allah gave us the ability to use our tongues to speak. On the day of Qiyamah, Allah will give this earth to speak. Not only this earth, but we learn from the surah, we recite Surah Yasin every day, Allah will seal the mouth and Allah will give the limbs the opportunity to speak. So the limbs will speak, the skin will speak. Allah mentioned in the Quran, when we hear our own skin testifying against us, that we will say, people will say that who gave you, how is it that you can speak today? The skin will respond to us. أَنْتَقَنَ اللَّهُ أَنْتَقَ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ. That Allah is the one who gave the speech, the one who gave everyone the ability to speak. That Allah made me, He gave me the ability to speak. So our limbs will testify against us. This earth will testify against us. بِأَنَّ رَبَّكَ أُحَالَهَا. And the ulama mentioned this earth was almost like it was always wanted to speak out. You know, where someone, he wants to speak, but he's scared to speak. He wants to speak, but he's not been given the permission to speak. So the earth, there has been almost like someone who was keeping in all of this information, is frustrated already of all the things happening on it. So eventually, when Allah gives him the chance to speak, he will not leave anything. He will speak everything that happened on this dunya. The earth will Allah protect us, and not because of those who this dunya will testify against us, but the dunya must testify for us on the day of Qiyamah. So, my beloved brothers and sisters in Islam, we end off this ayah and we stop here with our tafsir and we make dua. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us to be of those who prepare for this day of Qiyamah. As Rasul sallallahu was asked, Ya Rasulullah, when will the Qiyamah be? He says, Ma adatta laha, what did you prepare for it? Many times we want to know when it will be, what year it will be. That is not the main thing. The main thing is what did we prepare for it? And so we ask Allah to make us of those who prepare for this great day of Qiyamah. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us a perfect understanding. Wa akhir da'wana alhamdulillah.